Chairman Mao Inspects the Guangdong Countryside is an aptly named painting given the subject matter. The painting depicts several figures walking through a landscape. At the center of the painting is the Chairman Mao Zedong. Mao is depicted in stride as he triumphantly looks into the landscape. He is also noticeably taller than anyone else in the painting. The chairman is flanked on both sides with a diverse group of Chinese citizens. All of the other figures are looking towards Mao and are painted with large, happy smiles. The road that Mao is walking leads directly towards the viewer, giving the impression that Mao is ready to walk off the painting and up to the person viewing the painting. Surrounding the figures is a serene landscape. There are people shown working the vast fields and harvesting crops. There is a small village in the background, and even what appears to be some power lines present on the edge of the frame. All the lines in the painting seem to draw your eye right back to the Chairman Mao. Chen painted this work in 1972 when there was a greater emphasis placed on having professional artists create propaganda art as opposed to amateur artists, according to asiasociety.org. Mao also strove to have his propaganda art closely resemble that of the neighboring Soviet Union. The painting represents a trip by Mao to Guangdong during a period known as the Great Leap Forward. This was a movement started in 1958 with the goal of both industrializing China as well as creating agricultural collectives where a whole community would work the land together. Beginning in the late 1960s, we begin to see more of these grand oil paintings depicting great moments in Mao's life. Chairman Mao Goes to Anyang by Liu Junhua, Strive Forward in the Wind and Tides by Tang Xiaoyi, and Mao Inspects Wushun Open Cut Coal Mine by Wu Yunhua are all grand oil paintings of Mao that come from the period that Chen made Chairman Mao Inspects the Guangdong Countryside. Just like leaders throughout history like Napoleon or Alexander the Great, Mao understood the power of art in winning over the hearts and minds of his people. In an era before the proliferation of things like television in China, paintings, posters, and flyers were often the only way that Chinese citizens interacted with their leader. Chairman Mao took advantage of this by having these professional artists depict him in as grand and triumphant a way as possible. On top of having art of his own created, he also tried to eradicate anything to the contrary. According to Anika Burgess, in The Art of Chinese Propaganda Posters, the Cultural Revolution encouraged the destruction of the Four Olds. Included in these Four Olds were classic art, literature, and architecture. This allowed Chairman Mao to craft the narrative being presented to the people of China. In Chairman Mao Inspects the Guangdong Countryside, Chen Yanning is making Mao look like a popular leader whose Great Leap Forward is a tremendous success. The people in the painting look elated to be in the presence of Mao, and he is being guided through bountiful fields of crops. The whole community seems to be out working together as a good collective. The power lines in the edge of the frame even allude to the industrialization that the chairman was pushing in China and can even be seen in many other paintings of the time. The clothing that Mao is wearing sets him apart from the crowd while also not making him appear to be too posh. He still seems like a relatable figure who you could almost see ready to roll up his sleeves and help out the collective. The key part of this piece of propaganda is that none of this has to accurately represent the event that this is meant to portray. It doesn't matter if there are actually no power lines, full fields, or even happy peasants in the Guangdong countryside. What matters is the Chinese public believe they're there. It matters that the Great Leap Forward looks to be a successful initiative on the part of Mao, and that he is a popular and successful leader of China. So let me know what you think about this piece of propaganda. If you were a Chinese peasant toiling in the fields in the 1970s and you saw a reproduction of this painting, would you believe in the narrative being put forth, or would it take a little bit more work on the part of Mao to convince you that things are so great?